You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Bold and the Beautiful fans. So we have this Taylor Hayes death storyline, but I am pretty skeptical already. And I do worry when Thomas Forrester is heading home that he might be dragged into it in a very bad way. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we're going to dive into this sketchy plot that could end up with Taylor dying, no one dying, or somebody else dying instead of her. So just first, I want to bring this up. On that recent episode when Lee Finnegan was there talking to Taylor, you know, she was telling Lee that she had been tired and feeling off when she exercised, so she went to her doctor. And then she told Lee, to me, this is what I'm hearing, basically her primary care doctor told her she's in heart failure and she's dying. And then when she was asked by Lee, Taylor said, "No, I haven't seen a cardiologist." What? Really? This general practice doctor says you're dying, and Taylor's like, "Well, that's it. I'm about to die." That reminds me of like when I get a really bad migraine and it's so bad that I decide I have a tumor or an aneurysm, and then like a couple hours later it gets better and I'm like, okay, I was being dumb. That's what Taylor is doing. It is assumptions. I don't know. It's so weird. And yes, she's a medical doctor herself, but she's a shrink. She is not a heart surgeon or a heart specialist. So Lee Finnegan did offer her some cardiologist referrals and sent her some doctor names. So I do imagine Taylor's prognosis might be a little different once she sees an expert in heart disease. But since they've already gone down the she's dying route, we're probably going to hear that. But I mean, surely a heart transplant is on the table, right? She's young. She's healthy enough to qualify. She doesn't have any other illnesses. It's just crazy. And by the way, if you keep close track of spoilers, which I do, because it's my job, the one for this episode was wildly off the mark. This was Monday, the 23rd episode. The spoiler said Taylor visits a connection and reveals a secret. That was about her conversation with Lee, who was already at Steffi's house on Friday. Lee was visiting her, not the other way around, and then Taylor revealed the secret on Friday. So they need to fire whatever flunky or intern at Bold and the Beautiful is writing these horribly inaccurate spoilers. Anyway, now that we're into this Taylor dying thing, there are several options for recycled storylines, and I feel certain Brad Bell is doing some sort of redo of a past storyline. The big question is, which storyline are they possibly dredging up? You know, I worried already that Brad Bell was bringing back Taylor Hayes to kill her, and now I'm worried he might do something even worse and kill off somebody else to save her. You know, remember Katie Logan's heart transplant situation? She was dying. She needed a heart. And her brother Storm Logan shot himself at the hospital so that his heart could go directly to his sister Katie and save her life. Now, I don't foresee anybody traipsing down to the hospital and shooting themselves and handing Taylor their heart. But it does have me wondering, is Brad Bell going to kill another character so Taylor can live? You know, maybe Thomas Forrester, for instance. He has been gone so long, and I know Brad Bell and the showrunners and everybody, they get hammered with fan questions. Where's Thomas? When's he going to be back? Has Matthew Atkinson been fired? You know, maybe Brad's tired of those questions. So we saw Paris and Thomas come back to LA for just a hot minute to talk about this wedding that was going to take place right away. And then it never manifested, and then they just disappeared. And we've not heard whether Matthew Atkinson is coming back at all. You know, Brad Bell could have quietly written him out like he did Darren Brooks as Wyatt, like he did Rena Sofer as Quinn. Technically, she left, but she just wasn't happy, you know, with the storylines and all. That could be what they're doing. Or maybe Thomas is fated to die and he's going to, you know, his heart's going to get given to his mother. I mean, it would make sense that once Thomas hears that his mom, Taylor, is dying, that Thomas would hop the first plane and come to LA, because she told Lee she hasn't told anyone. Now, she saw Thomas before she came to LA, but nobody else knows, like her, Lee, and this primary care schmuck who told her she's dying. And we just had crazy pilot Deuce Stevens at Fenn's office freaking out, worried something is wrong with him. And it was very random, like, why bring this guy back? You know, why is Tom Arnold back doing all this? So maybe something is really wrong with Deuce and it went undiagnosed. Maybe the pilot is going to crash the Forrester jet while he's flying Thomas back to LA. And maybe Taylor's son survives long enough to donate his heart. I just kind of doubt that both Thomas and Taylor are going to come out of this alive. I would like them both to, but I don't trust Brad Bell with characters that he clearly doesn't like, and I don't think he likes either one of them. So that would be a redo of the Katie and Storm plot. But there's other ones. Another wild ride would be if they're going to go ahead and kill off Taylor, but then we get a replay of the Brooke and Stephanie Forrester death storyline. You know, Brooke was at Steffi's house talking to Taylor about how she wants them to be real friends. They both seem open to it this time. It's not like that messy pact from before. And if you've been watching for a while, you know the OG Stephanie Forrester, Ridge's mom, always hated Brooke. She's the one that, you know, gave her the nickname Slut of the Valley. And they were always plotting against each other because Stephanie hated her, you know, and Brooke bedded Stephanie's husband and more than one of her sons. So in the end, though, Brooke was there at the end when Stephanie died of cancer. She died in Brooke's arms. So I've seen a whole bunch of B&V fans really worried that that's where Brad Bell is going and that he's returning that plot, and people don't want that. And then much more recently is the very frustrating dying storyline of Eric Forrester. You know, they started out with Eric's dying, but they never said what was killing him for months and months and months until I think fans got too loud and they had to come up with an explanation. I think it was Donna maybe who first used the word cancer, but they weren't even using that word that much. And that was very late in that storyline, very nonspecific. And then suddenly Finn and Bridget did surgery and Eric's cured. No chemo, no radiation that we saw. You know, Eric never lost the hair off his head, none of that. He was dying and then bang, you know, a few weeks later, drinking martinis, hanging out, marrying much younger Donna. I said at the time when they first started that storyline, Eric's not dying. They never convinced me, not for a minute. I know a lot of you guys were skeptical too. And maybe Brad Bell thought that his Eric dying and then not dying, you know, fake out twist was so good that he's going to try it again with Taylor. I mean, it wasn't great, you know? So if that's the plot they're redoing, I really hope they rethink it. There is still time for the writers to pivot before they get too far down the road. With Taylor not even seeing a cardiologist before coming back to LA to die, you know, the writers left themselves a whole pile of wiggle room. And you would think with her medical degree that Dr. Taylor Hayes would know you need to see an expert in the field to get an accurate diagnosis, prognosis, and possible treatment options. This primary care diagnosis of certain death is sketchy at best. So what do you guys think? Is Taylor going to wind up with Thomas's heart, someone else's heart? Are they going to go ahead and kill her and redo Stephanie and Brooke's death scene, but with Taylor dying in Brooke's arms? Or are we going to get a redo with another 11th hour mystery miracle cure to Taylor's certain death like they did with Eric Forrester? Let me know what you think. Drop your comments. Please subscribe if you're not following us. Definitely come back soon. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt talking Y&R with you all week long.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.